Hello, everyone. I am Rebecca Pierce, the author of Captain Jack, and I decided to do something a little different today. I wanted to come on and kind of introduce myself in case you didn't know who I was, and to do a reading, a snippet from chapter 5, which was posted earlier this week. I believe it was on Wednesday. And if you've read it, I would love to get your feedback. If you notice at the end of every chapter that I post, I have a series of questions that I'm asking. And of course, I'm asking these questions because this is a draft. And so I want to make sure that I am getting feedback from you, my readers, my beta readers, and that I can, wherever I need to go back in to tighten up the character development, plot development, tone, mood, all that I can do that. So that is like so important for a writer to, especially engaging in this type of platform, that we hear from our readers other than a heart or a like, because, this is like, I consider this like peer review. Some of you may or may not know, I am an English teacher by trade. I teach writing all day long. And one of the things I do with my students is peer reviews on their essays, on their work. And so when I was considering what to do with Captain Jack, I thought, when I upload it to Substack, chapter a week, I want to put questions at the end of each chapter, questions for the reader, in terms of, your thoughts overall, analytical questions about what a particular scene means or meant. And I wanted to do basically my own kind of peer review with beta readers. So if you have read the chapters, and even if you only answer one question, please do that, because I need your feedback. I need your support in that way, other than, of course, sharing the chapters, subscribing to the Substack, etc. And I'm probably going to do that every time. Like once this story ends, I'll start sharing another story that I've either previously published or am currently working on, and hope to get your feedback from that as well. But in the meantime, why did I write this story? I think I've talked about it in a couple of the essays that I've posted in this Substack when I first launched. It's because I found this woman, Jacquette Delahaye. I found her doing research for my other book, The Secret Life of Lucy Bossman. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. I've never heard of a black female pirate, a French Haitian female pirate. What in the world is that about? And, there's not a lot of research on women as pirates, period. You got Anne Bonny and the Chinese pirate, but a woman pirate who was the only one really to go on to live a long life after her pirating days ended. But I started thinking, as I always do when I find nuggets, treasure in my research for other works, what would this story look like completed? Can we speak for her? Can I find her voice? Can I tell her story? And so, Captain Jack, I stumbled on it about 15, almost 20 years ago. She's been sitting on my computer ever since. I tried doing a little bit of posting when Amazon had its novella series, but I didn't get anywhere with it. Life interrupted. But I'm back and again decided to put it on Substack. But I love this idea of a French Haitian, of a young girl who is willing to share her gift, which is a rare gift for young women in that era, and that she's been taught how to read and write. It's a very complicated, very scary, very dangerous gift. And to put her in the middle of one of the most historic moments in history, the revolution in Haiti against the French with Toussaint Louverture. Again, as a historic fiction writer, I'm always looking for where can what part is going to be fiction, which part is going to be historical or history, and then how can I merge the two, create a really good story that not only builds on the period, gets people wanting to know more about the period, hopefully going to do research about this period, but also tells a great story, a memorable character, building a memorable character. So this is kind of where Jacquette comes from. Her name is pronounced Jacquette. That's her real name, but I've changed it, as I mentioned in the essay last week, to Jacquette for better pronunciation and spelling. So anyway, that's kind of why I have put this story out. I love the idea of fantasy adventure. We don't see Black women in fantasy, high fantasy adventure, pirate stories. And I wanted to also, my other motive was to encourage young girls, Black or white, to put themselves in history, to write great stories, to want to pick up the pen and tell a particular story. And so, what I want to do now is I want to read a section of chapter 5 that speaks to me, and I want to encourage you to go and read it and tell me what you think as well. So I'm going to do this really quickly and, try not to hold you for too long. All right. So this is after Henry has died. Her little brother has died. And Jacquette finds herself in an even more precarious, despairing situation. So, but it's fascinating to me. One of the things I love about Black literature is mysticism and the spirit world. And as I was creating this story, or rather as the story was being given to me, it was important that I tap into that world because we it's hard to tell the story of people of color without talking about spirituality, mysticism, religion, because it plays such a key role in how people move and operate and decisions that they make and whatnot. And if we look at the Christian Bible, the element of dreaming is used in the Christian Bible, Greek mythology, Roman mythology. It is used in almost every culture's um, um, testimony, so to speak, the element of dreaming and how the spirit, the great divine, God, whatever you call it, comes to us in our dreams. And messages are sent in our dreams. So this is the scene where Henri has died, and here's what Jacquette is going to experience. That night, she did not sleep, but sometime between moonrise and dawn, exhaustion conquered sorrow, and the jungle let her dream. In the dream, there was fire, not fire that burned, but fire that danced, orange and blue flames that twisted like women's skirts in the wind. Jacquette stood in a clearing, her hands empty. Before her was a woman cloaked in a white head wrap and a linen dress dyed deep indigo. She turned, and Jacquette gasped, "Mama?" Mary Delahaye's eyes gleamed like two coals beneath stars. Her voice was soft but filled with command. "Have you forgotten who you are?" Now remember, I also post this in Haitian Creole, but I don't speak it, so I'm not going to try to pronounce it. I'll do the English translation. Again, have you forgotten who you are? No, Jacquette whispered, tears streaking her cheeks. You are the daughter of fire and sea. You are a caprolata, and you must not waste it. Caprolata. Jacquette had heard the word once whispered by the old slave women at the plantation and by Mary. A caprolata was a spirit walker, one who speaks in dreams, one who sees beyond, a medicine woman. You will not die here. Your story does not end in the belly of this island. Rise, her mother's voice cracked like thunder. Rise and remember. Jacquette woke with a jolt, heart racing, sweat coating her skin. The makeshift camp was empty save for the dying or already dead. Tears rolled angrily down her cheeks as her eyes searched the camp for Mary. And then she heard it, the shuffle of feet, the snap of leaves. Not a beast, a man. So there's so many colorful elements in there, so many symbols. The color deep blue indigo, fire for rebirth and restoration, and the the term caprolata. I found that as I was doing research on this, that's the term given to the women, the slave women who knew the medicine the old ways and who brought it to these slave ports, these plantations. And there's something that's building there. I'm not going to get into it because I want you to read the story. But I am intrigued by this idea of the dead coming back to spur us into action. And we see this happen in this particular moment with this young girl. Y'all got to remember, Jacquette is only 14 years old in this scene. 14 years old as this story begins. And when we look historically at figures in certain major moments in history, some of us forget to really truly understand that these were young people. Like these were today what we would call preteens or teens. So even when we talk about David and Goliath, David was a young boy. And so when we talk about some of the slave uprisings, and when we talk about the fighters, the people in the French Revolution, and all these historic moments, even the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, these are not old people; these are young people. And so it says a lot about the power to create and move and start a movement, whether it's internal or external. And what is it that spurs us and moves us forward? And I don't think that conversation happens a lot when we talk about Black women, Black girls in literature. And so I kind of I see it as my charge as a womanist, as a writer, as a teacher, to begin to show us in these moments, what it means for us to move, how connected we are to mysticism, to the divine, to the spiritual, but also the practical and the realism, right? So I hope you enjoyed that quick read and a little bit of my theorizing here. Uh, Please share this post, this Substack post, encourage others to come on and read these chapters and give me that feedback. Again, we now have chapters 1 through 5 up, and next week, I'll put up chapter 6. And then I also will be posting another analytical uh, essay conversation about writing historic fiction through the lens of womanism, looking at storytelling from a Black girl, Black woman's perspective. So I hope you enjoy that. So I hope you have a great weekend. I'll be sharing out, of course, reposting the link to the story. And I hope you see it and you share it and love it. And again, send me your feedback. So with that, hope you have a great day. Bye.